Tina Dupuy here with Tim Mahalski, and you're watching the TYT Network, and we're talking taxes.
Ooh.
Yeah, and specifically what Bernie Sanders, who is independent, which means that he's actually liberal.
Yeah.
Senator from Vermont, what he's been saying about taxes, and I think it's pretty interesting. We're going to run a clip right here.
People understand that a budget is two things. It is spending, it is revenue. And the idea that the Republicans are just focusing on spending and making absolutely devastating cuts. 200,000 kids under their budget proposal will be thrown off of Head Start. Social Security Administration cut $1.7 billion, meaning that checks would get out to the elderly and the disabled in a much slower time. We're talking about a 30% cut for the Environmental Protection Agency. We're talking about massive cuts for heat programs that keep people warm in the wintertime. Cuts in Pell Grants at a time when college is now unaffordable for many middle-class families. So to my view, when the richest people in this country are becoming much wealthier, when the top 1% earn more income than the bottom 50%, when the effective tax rates the very richest people in this country is lower than it has ever been, and when these same people are getting hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks, to my mind, it is absolutely absurd not to ask the wealthy to stop paying their fair share of taxes in order to help us move toward a balanced budget.
And he also talked about ending the subsidizing for big oil, ending the tax breaks for big oil. And what he's saying is, instead of talking about, because for some reason tax breaks don't ever get equated with revenue,
right?
Which is a form of spending. That's why you can have an unfunded tax break, for example, an unpaid for, tax break, is because it's on the budget. If you're not bringing in that money, your budget is smaller. So that's not being talked about. But also he has a lot of support. I mean, people the mandate that Congress thinks that they have right now doesn't actually exist. I mean, head colds are more popular than Congress. It's like their approval rating is 12% or something.
Yeah, basically.
And I mean, it's more people.
You know what's funny is that why is it that when we talk about spending, and the Republicans love to compare the government to household spending, which, like we've said, it's not at all the same thing.
Right.
But why is it that we talk about only cutting things that cut spending, but we're going to cut revenue? I mean, if I'm looking to pay off my credit card debt, I'm not going to cut things out that are going to cut my revenue. I'm going to cut things out. I'm going to add things that are going to bring revenue in.
Exactly. I'm going to take a second job.
Yeah.
And if I want to pay down my debt, exactly, if you're going to use that analysis, if I want to pay down my debt, I'm not going to not show up to work.
Yeah, we need more revenue, more taxes on the rich, oil companies.
Exactly. And if I want to pay down my debt, I don't stop feeding my children.
Exactly. Or sorry, you're not going to go to high school. We're just going to sit it out. Right. That's not the way it works.
Right. So yeah, that's absolutely a false analysis. But also, the public is with Bernie Sanders on this issue. There's over 51%, according to a new NBC Wall Street Journal poll, 51% of the country wants the government to do more.
Yeah.
Not less, not get out of our lives, not get out of our Medicare. They actually want the government to do more. And their first priority, according to this new poll, is job creation. It's not, cutting things for billionaires and millionaires. It's taxing the rich and the government doing more. Can we look at this graph? So this is really interesting. So if the deficit can't be eliminated, is the question, by cutting wasteful spending, which of these do you favor? Now, you have people who favor raising taxes or postponing elimination of the deficit. That's over 60%, as opposed to people who want to cut important programs. The vast majority of Americans would rather see taxes raised or this whole issue be put off the table, other than making grandma eat cat food.
Yeah, I mean, which makes sense. We're supposed to, the government is supposed to bring money in so they could put money out. And when we're cutting, we're giving tax breaks to the 2%, that makes no sense that these people are getting these tax breaks. And Bernie Sanders, the whole I think he was saying that the surtax could bring on the oil could bring $50 billion a year. I mean, that's called revenue in.
Right. That's a lot more than cutting Planned Parenthood, which is like,
Yeah, exactly.
Like just pennies on the not even that, a fraction of a penny.
Yeah,
of
or
our
NPR.
federal
I
budget,
mean,
right.
what isn't NPR only like $400 or $500 million a
Yeah,
year?
it's
So it's like
barely
really
anything
this will
compared.
pay for NPR how many times over?
Exactly.